Hello everyone and welcome to Novatti's webinar series, the first in our three-part series for 2022. And today we will be discussing rewards and loyalty in the payment space. Rewards and loyalty is an exciting and ever-growing segment of the payments ecosystem, particularly as we move towards a cashless society and digitising technology for rewards and customer retention. My name is Zoe Teal. I'm a Senior Business Development Manager at Novatti, and I have the pleasure of hosting our first webinar for the year. Joining us on the panel today will be three great speakers who I'm sure you are all looking forward to hearing from shortly. We have Liza Agresta, Head of Consumer Solutions at Visa, where she collaborates with banks, fintechs and loyalty partners to design and deliver leading consumer products and experiences. Gary Cobain, CEO of PokitPal, a fintech business that specialises in loyalty and rewards and has led the team to develop a unique rewards platform that removes the friction associated with traditional loyalty programs. And for our Novatti program spotlight, we are joined by Reece from SpendAble, who recently launched his program to market that focuses on disability and aged care solutions. Now, before we kick off our discussion today, for those listeners who are joining us for the first time, I would like to give you a quick overview of who we are. Novatti Group is a global payment tech company established in 1996 and listed on the ASX in 2016. We provide a variety of payment services that include QR payments, Visa prepaid cards, digital wallets, merchant acquiring, billing automation, NPP, cross-border payments, payment gateways, FX, basically everything that enables you to pay and be paid. Now onto our topic for today, rewards and loyalty. We have seen considerable growth in this sector from 2017 to 2021 of 12.6% and expected growth of 11.7% for the next 4 years. Some of the sectors, apart from traditional banking, that are increasingly using loyalty and beauty, are beauty, food service and mobility firms. Another interesting statistic is that 49.5% of consumers stated that they would be interested in signing up for a business loyalty program, which is a large number when it comes to consumer behaviour. So to talk more to this, we move on to our first guest speaker, which is Gary Cobain.
Hi.
Gary, thanks so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. Kicking off, I guess, to start, it would be great to hear more from you and your journey with PokitPal.
Sure. Thanks, Zoe. Firstly, thanks for inviting me to be part of the panel. Looking forward to the discussion today. Just to give you a little bit about my background, I moved to Australia from Ireland 9 years ago to work for an Irish telco across the South Pacific called Digicel. We were working in places like Papua New Guinea, and to my surprise, whenever we arrived in Papua New Guinea, the financial infrastructure wasn't there to facilitate mobile banking or card payments. So as a telco, actually, we kind of stepped in, worked with some of the banks to leverage the infrastructure we had built and introduced mobile money, as we called it then, which enabled people to do remote mobile money transfers and payments. It's that journey, I guess, that led me sometime later. I identified PokitPal as someone that had a few unique components, and I joined the business 4 years ago. Since then, we've developed a card linking offers platform, which is integrated with the leading payment schemes, namely Visa, MasterCard and EFTPOS here in Australia. And we work with fintechs and banks to run rewards programs for them here.
That's great, Gary. What a journey that you've had. And so PokitPal's value proposition to merchants is attract customers, inspire loyalty, increase profits. Tell us how your cashback platform achieves this and what makes it revolutionary.
Yes, sure. I think I have a slide there somewhere that I'll talk to briefly. But effectively, we're creating an ecosystem here. We enable merchants to retailers to present offers through a series of mobile banking apps and websites. So the issuers typically promote those offers on their website or mobile banking app. Users engage with them, and they are rewarded normally with cash back whenever they make a qualifying purchase. Unlike most marketing platforms, we position this with the retailers as something that has a guaranteed return on investment, meaning that they only pay whenever there's a transaction that takes place. So unlike the Google and the Facebook of the world, where they're paying for clicks or keywords or something, in our case, they're really only paying when they get transactions. And so they love the fact that for the first time, they have a direct correlation between their marketing funds and how much revenue they've generated for the business. The other thing that's unique about the platform is that we don't need to integrate with the merchant's point of sale equipment. Because we've integrated with Visa, MasterCard, and FPOS, we pick up transaction detail directly from them in real time and can instantaneously reward the customer for the purchase. We're working with a variety of issuers at the moment and fintechs in the market, and they use the platform then to drive preference, if you like. So why use their card over anyone else's? And so typically the users are benefiting from about 10% cash back on any of the purchases that they're making that we're with our merchants on the platform.
Fantastic, Gary. That's a really great insight. And so what are your views on how the rewards landscape in Australia is evolving in terms of technology and adaptation by companies?
Yeah, good question. I guess some of the trends aren't unique to Australia, by the way. These are the global trends. So the first thing I'd like to point out that all of us as consumers have probably been looking for alternatives to air miles over the last few years, particularly with the pandemic. You couldn't earn them, or if you did earn them, you couldn't spend them. And what we're seeing is that cash back now is becoming the currency of choice for users. So as opposed to having to save up air miles for months or potentially years in order to get something meaningful from it, the users are getting an instant cash back reward, typically put back onto their card or into their bank account, and they can spend that straight away. So that's the first major trend. Secondly, and the pandemic again has driven an acceleration in this regard in some markets, but the transition from cash payments to electronic and card payments has been really bumped along with everyone wanting to do contactless payments over the last couple of years in particular. That's great for our business because it enables us to pick up transactions that we would never otherwise have seen and reward those customers in real time. And the third piece here is that everybody wants to have an integrated experience now. We don't want additional loyalty cards. We don't want to be joining more programs every time we go into a retailer. We simply want to be in a program that operates with our own banking infrastructure as it is and rewards the user and puts the funds directly back into their account so they can spend those straight away. So those are three of the major trends we're seeing.
That's great. Thanks, Gary. That's really interesting, isn't it? And tell me, in regards to, so you've covered sort of some of the consumer trends that are changing. Are there any regulatory changes or industry trends that will impact the loyalty sector, in your opinion?
Yeah, there's a couple of things here that I'm sure the issuers on the call are very much aware of. So interchange rates globally are getting squeezed, obviously, by the regulators. And those interchange rates historically have been used to help fund rewards for customers. So as those are getting squeezed, the margins just aren't there in the payment industry to run a truly rewarding experience. What we're seeing is now that with the introduction of merchant-funded offers, we're able to significantly increase the value being offered to the consumer and reduce the costs for the card issuers. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, not just big banks like Cobain are offering cash back anymore. We've got a real surge of fintechs entering the market in the payment investment industry in particular, and most of them are introducing rewards and loyalty from day one. So it's part of their core proposition, and that cashback reward is being used to differentiate their product right from the get-go. And I'm delighted to say that quite a lot of those customers are turning to PokitPal because we can literally have a rewards program up and running within about 6 weeks for them. And we integrate about 700-800 merchant funded offers into those rewards programs, so they don't need to go talk to all those retailers themselves. We do it for them and deliver the rewarding program from day one.
That's a really quick integration there, Gary. I'm sure your customers love that. If only all integrations were that quick, that's for sure. Now that was fantastic. Thank you, Gary, and really appreciate your time today. We were going to lead on to Liza Agresta, but unfortunately, the joys of a live webinar, we're having a few technical glitches at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and speak with our current client, Reece Miller. Reece, thank you for joining us today. It's great to have you here, and just to sort of what we're going to do with Reece today is talk about it's our Novatti program Spotlight, and this is an opportunity where we give fintechs that have launched their program to market with Novatti the opportunity to talk about their value proposition and progress. We're really excited to be supporting SpendAble in their journey as a startup that began on our Accelerator program and progressed to a fully fledged program on the Visa rails. So as I mentioned, we've got Reece Miller, CEO of SpendAble, who is making great advances in providing payment services for the disability and aged care sector with the company's recently launched program. Welcome, Reece.
Hey, Zoe. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Look, can you tell us about your journey with SpendAble and what prompted you to solve this particular problem in the market?
Yeah, definitely. So I was previously running like a disability service kind of organization, so just support workers that go out with people, and they could be buying groceries, taking that to see movies, do kind of whatever at that point. And we just had like a lot of I suppose like some little problems that we really wanted to fix, especially from like a corporate and sort of social governance sort of standpoint. So we were sort of dealing in very sort of like complex environments where the person with the disability was the person who needed the payment made for them, but there were other people's, like there were sort of third parties that were making transactions for them, and really got down to this stage where we were seeing a lot of like parents, guardians, managers of accommodation providers, things like that they were the ones that were kind of handling the cash. And as our support workers came in to sort of provide support, they were just getting handed like this Ziploc bag with cash in it. And it was just like, it was not accountable. It was, fraught with danger. And then, for us, we were just like, as managers, we had like no visibility all over that. So sort of, about 18 months ago, we said, hey, we're going to try and fix this problem. I'm not a fintech. I don't have a fintech background. I sort of just came into this with the lens of the organization itself and what we needed. And we just sort of started designing, and then kind of got to Novatti, and Novatti said, this is the sort of this is the tech you can build on, and this is the capabilities of the program, and we sort of just kind of really spun into a really interesting sort of I suppose card proposition for the industry, and especially even now we're sort of branching out into teaching people with intellectual disabilities how to handle their money as well, sort of thing too. So, and a lot of it's about, automating things like budgets and automating the numeracy that's involved and all the change and things like that. So, there's this kind of whole market of things that I think fintech, that financial services kind of left behind. And so, and especially as we see like, people shutting down branches and all that sort of stuff as well. So, that's kind of how we got into it. And really kind of excited to be on that sort of first part of the journey, that's for sure.
It really seems like your program enables your customers, I guess, to really take power and control of their every day. So what a fantastic proposition that you're offering there, Reece. I'd love to learn more about the Carers Card, how it helps track spending and the capabilities of your app, if you're able to speak to that.
Yeah. I think you had the slide up before as well. I might just step through that because it is a little bit technical as well. So, first things first, what we do is we kind of set these digital wallets for sort of an individual. So it might be the person with disability, it might be the house that they live in or something like that. And that's kind of what gets funded, and that's where all the budgets kind of sit. And then our, and then all of our cards that are kind of issued, either to support workers or to the person with disability or to, the elderly person or, whoever it is, they all kind of have $0 on them at all time, right? And so then kind of what happens is they log into the SpendAble app. And so they'll walk into the store and say, hey, I see this T-shirt. And I think this is the example that's up here as well. So they'll see a T-shirt. They'll go, hey, I want to buy this. And if you think about a person with intellectual disability, they might not know how much is in their budget. They might not get, a $50 note minus 20 equals 30 and all that sort of stuff as well. And especially when prices are changing pretty rapidly as well. So that numeracy changes really rapidly too. So basically, the app itself is, so they log in, they say, hey, I need $20 from my clothing budget to buy this T-shirt. The SpendAble app then says, yes, the money's in your budget, or no, it's not. If it's there, it then gets loaded onto the card, ready for a payment. Pretty normal stuff sort of through the rails, present the card, tap, insert, swipe, whatever you sort of have to do as well. Settles with the merchant. And then any changes left over, we have this kind of automatic sweeping sort of process where any changes left over just gets pulled off the card back into their wallet, their sort of digital wallet again. And then post-transaction, they get like a really good opportunity to take a photo of their receipt. They can take a photo of them sort of with their new T-shirt or something like that as well. And makes it sort of fairly visual as well for them as well. And then kind of with the support workers, it's a really similar process as well. They say, hey, I'm buying this T-shirt for Steve. It's going to cost $20, and it goes onto their individual card as well. So we get kind of full visibility on, who the actual person making the transaction is as well. So from a fraud prevention point of view as well, we sort of pinpoint who the person that's there sort of, making that transaction. And like a little bit of fraud can happen, but we have these sort of, the ability then to actually kind of see, well, with cash, you're handing cash out and you're just like, it could be anyone. Like you could say, I've just dropped the cash on the ground and there's no way to kind of prosecute that through a digital transaction. And, they have to actively, go into an app and sort of, request that money. They'd want to be sort of going within the parameters of what the budget are as well and all that sort of stuff. So, created a massive amount of efficiency there as well, but also just, giving that sort of process, especially around people with intellectual disability who just, have never done their grocery shopping, never bought their own clothes and all that sort of stuff as well. So that's kind of, that sort of two-prong approach that we've got.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think, I know with my card programs that I run with my clients, data is power, right? Being able to see the transactional data spend, the history there, and really be able to, like you said, you can't track where a $50 note goes, but you can on a card. So again, it sort of proves the power of having these programs. And I'm sure that certainly made, a tangible difference in your customers' lives, which is really exciting. So with that, what's on the roadmap for SpendAble?
Yeah, so we're pretty focused. Obviously, I came out of the NDIS space, so we sort of know the market pretty well in there. We're sort of trying to jump into the elderly and aged care space as well. But so we're just focused on the NDIS at the moment. Really just empowering people to make their own payments, working with service providers to actually, to kit out their whole organisation so that they can have, this sort of organisational spending capability and that expense management, but also that accountability and that compliance with the NDIS quality and safeguards as well. For us, like I think product roadmap at the moment is focusing just on, what are those offerings there, but also kind of like, experimenting and piloting, getting actual like NDIS payments. So, paying for your physiotherapist, paying for your support worker that come through the card and really paying them. Big problem is most of the industry kind of runs on accounts receivable. So really kind of pulling, I suppose that point of sale efficiency forward to, all of these NDIS providers as well. So we're sort of piloting that. We're seeing how that is. There's a lot of red tape and a lot of work around the government that we kind of have to do there as well. But that's kind of one of the more exciting things that we think is, which would really add a lot of strength and kind of fix another really big pain point in payments in the NDIS spaces for sure. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're kind of pushing along with. That's for sure.
That's amazing, and I admire your tenacity because I can imagine it hasn't been an easy program to get up and running. So well done in all spades there, I guess. But I guess I'd like to move on now. We've talked about your experience with NDIS and your the requirement for this card in that industry. But I guess I'd love to talk to you now about your experience with us and Novatti's Accelerator program, and I guess any benefits that you'd like to highlight in working with us and the program that we've provided you.
Yeah. So I think the key thing here was, I didn't have a financial background. Like I had a little bit of, obviously a business development background, but so they kind of come in and go, well, I need a card program to build this solution. It's really, really good to kind of have that little bit of hand holding and that sort of expertise around launching a program, and also just the barrier to entry was quite low, I think, with the Novatti Accelerator program. It was like, here we're going to support you to do a pilot and to do, let's do your pilot, let's get, that minimum tech that you can get in there sort of thing, trial it out with 30, 40, 50 cards. It's not, you don't have to kind of have this big early stage, big investment in it. You can really sort of test it out. So that's sort of, that really nice stepping stone to go from idea to proof of concept to MVP trial to then kind of get it into market as well. I thought that was, definitely a big point of difference between sort of, the 4 or 5 that we sort of really checked out. And as well, I think Carly and John, I don't know if they're on the call, but, we had, weekly support from the team there, heaps of tech build support as well, even from your tech side of things. The interface with the tech team as well, where, we're trying to plug an app into sort of the Novatti tech stack. And, it was just kind of, really good to have that responsiveness and to sort of, work from, to kind of work with us as well, knowing that we were fairly novice in it. I think we rode the learning curve pretty quick, but it was nice to have a team that were pretty keen to push us along that learning curve as well. So yeah, it was really, it's quite good. And then I think the commercials to kind of get all the way, to stage it so that, if you go, okay, we know that we're committing this much all the way to the idea, to the proof of concept. It's just really nice from a business point of view, not to kind of go, okay, I've got to find, $200,000 to get a card program and to get through that chasm to kind of go, okay, well, the actual barrier to entry is, a little bit lower and a little bit earlier sort of thing as well, which was quite good as well for us. So yeah, it definitely helped us get it off the ground. That's for sure.
Yeah, great. That's really great feedback. And it is quite daunting sometimes to launch a full program, particularly if you're not from the fintech space or the payment world. And yes, John and Carly are fantastic. We love our team, and it takes definitely a whole team to deliver these type of programs. So that's really great. Thank you, Reece. And we're really, really delighted to have you on board as our customer. So I guess then, leading into, given that you don't have a payments background and that you are, you've run, seen a need in the NDIS market and you've wanted to move forward with that, as an entrepreneur, and I'm sure we have a few listening today, do you have any advice to share with anyone starting on a similar journey?
So I think and this has kind of only come into light in probably the last 6 to 12 months is, I think with anyone, it's like if you've got that new idea and you want to kind of jump, and this is especially important if you're coming out of corporate as well. I think it's probably even harder to kind of launch. But basically, if you've got your idea, just put a line in the sand, just go for it. It's people can get too bogged down in that sort of that end to end, and we have to tick all the boxes and get all the way from here to there. But start really, really small, start problem focused, and then kind of work all the way out from there. And then one of my big things that I'm sort of saying to everyone at the moment is never never spend more than 2 hours on a plan. It's just it always, I can't tell you how many times I might have written a business plan for 20 hours and within about 3 months it was ripped up and just, we're doing a complete different strategy. Digital marketing strategies, all that sort of stuff. It changes so rapidly that, best bit of advice is don't spend more than 2 hours because you're wasting your time. Just get into it really, really quick, learn on the ground and just basically just, get out there, boots on the floor, and just get things moving in the right direction.
Yeah, good one. And so, funding a startup, that can be tricky, and raising capital. How are you funding SpendAble at the moment?
Yeah. So I'm pretty lucky. Obviously, coming out of a different business, and we had a bit of R&D money, and sort of in the process of selling that, which is pretty good. So I was sort of capitalized and bootstrapped a fair bit. We sort of, I think it's a really hard time to raise money as well at the moment, just the current sort of landscape, but we are sort of, pushing ahead with a bit of a seed round as well. But yeah, just, we're pretty much just bootstrapped and not cheap either. Trust me, startups are, if you need, $100,000, you should probably get 200 sort of thing and things like that sort of stuff as well. So, but yeah, so bootstrapping, I think it was a really, really good thing for me as well. It really helped me keep sort of a check on costs and a real sort of accountability on the team as well when it's sort of your own money too. But yeah, we are opening up a little bit outside of our sort of early teams and our early sort of early investors and things like that sort of thing. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck with your seed round. I'm sure that this webinar has generated some further interest in SpendAble and your program, and we are absolutely delighted to have your program on board and have you with us at Novatti, and we can't wait to see you succeed and do more in the future.
Cool. Thanks, Zoe. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Now we have Liza. We had some tech issues, so we've certainly been flying by the seat of our pants, if I'm completely honest with you, this afternoon, but we've got Liza here from Visa, which I'm really happy to see. So Liza, welcome.
Thank you, Zoe, and apologies for being late. I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. Okay, so I guess, it'd be really great, Liza, if you wouldn't mind giving us a bit of an introduction into your background and your role at Visa.
Sure. Thanks, Zoe. I'm pleased to see you all. My background ranges a really diverse range of experiences, I guess, across a number of industries. So from property development to insurance and banking and payments, as well as buy now, pay later. So I spent the early part of my career in marketing, really honing in on driving acquisition and customer engagement. And I moved many years ago into product leadership, where I focused largely on credit card programs and loyalty programs. I've led customer strategy functions spanning digital products, CX, brand strategy, and now I'm an official Visa inventor, which in fact is awarded to the few who can design and develop unique payment solutions and technology, and then it becomes a globally patented product. So I'm really proud of that achievement, and I've been with Visa for about 4.5 years. So I lead the Australia, New Zealand and South Pacific issuing and engagement products, which encompasses all credit, debit and prepaid solutions, as well as installments and our suite of loyalty solutions.
Wow, congratulations on that award. That's fantastic, Liza. Well done. Now, let's talk about the loyalty and reward space. That's what we're here to do today. What innovations and trends are you seeing?
Before we get into that, Zoe, if you don't mind, I'd like to just have a quick mention of an insight I often share with our clients as we're framing the conversation on loyalty. I think it's a really important one. Particularly, so when we use the word loyalty, we often think of large rewards programs and airline and travel propositions, but it's much more than that. And loyalty for me is an outcome. So how we get there is through building customer relationships, providing that perceived value, which is the reward, but driven through great customer experience. In turn, that results in loyalty. So with that lens, that's where we're seeing most of the innovation occur. So in the traditional loyalty space, so points-based programs, there's been little innovation over the years, I think we'd all agree. And our research suggests that it's become table stakes. So, cardholders are expecting it, it's necessary, but it's not necessarily driving loyalty. The space that's emerging to meet those changing consumer expectations is twofold. How can I use loyalty solutions to enhance experience and sustainable customer outcomes? So this is leading to more interest in different types of redemption options. So financial well-being is a really hot topic in the industry at the moment, and things like wealth or fractional shares or crypto investment is a really hot kind of redemption topic in terms of innovating in that reward space and aligning rewarding brands like eco and sustainable brands. Mm-hmm. And then the second part is where we see the most innovation occurring, which is around the customer engagement space. So brands are competing to acquire new customers or re-engage by building a relevant and personalized customer experience. And they want to build that relationship through an enhanced value exchange, which is much more instant. So, for example, instead of waiting to bank a whole bunch of points and maybe I fly to Brisbane in 2 years' time, once I've got that kind of anticipated reward is what I call that. It's more about instant messaging, feeling rewarded, surprise and delight, cashback, that really differentiated, more instant gratification. And you'll see, I'm not sure if the slides are on the screen, I can't quite see them, but through our research, 38% of loyalty program participants said the points programs are really relevant, which means over half are more interested in the customer experience and the exchange of value, so the type of reward that they want to receive. So this is being delivered today through card-linked programs, targeted portfolio management, some surprise and delight offers, as I mentioned, and merchant-based programs, which are all built on data-driven insights that drive meaningful engagement and outcomes.
That's fantastic. Really interesting information there, Liza. Thank you for that. Now, in recent years, loyalty and reward programs have been widely adopted in Australia. How do you think the pandemic affected the behaviour of Australian consumers towards spending and loyalty?
Yeah, I mean, from a spend perspective, we've seen so many shifts in consumer behaviours, which is not surprising. But overall, spend remains really healthy across both of our portfolio or larger portfolios, being credit and debit. And discretionary spend is really where we're seeing the largest impacted shift. So over the pandemic period, we clearly saw a shift away from travel and dining and those kind of entertainment spaces, and more into home improvement and grocery. But the really, I guess the biggest emerging trend was in e-com retail. But as travel was so impacted, it really created a notable shift in consumer expectations of their loyalty programs. So that move towards that instant gratification, what's in it for me right now, was much more, relevant than that anticipated reward that we really didn't know we were going to be able to leverage longer term. So that's where we see those cashback programs coming into play, or even airline points boosters that are then converting into potentially wine redemption or some of those wealth options. So we see, and I'm sure Gary will speak a little bit more about, this accelerating space, particularly in the card linking space and the benefit space. But it doesn't only benefit cardholders, it also benefits merchants. And they're really seeking, I guess, to have a different audience and a greater appetite to provide offers to consumers across the industry to drive spend and drive loyalty back into their stores.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so it's not just consumers that are embracing digital rewards, but companies are looking for ways to increase brand loyalty through incentives. Could you share some of the examples of the technology some companies have adopted to digitise rewards programs?
Absolutely. So there are many technologies that can enable a seamless engagement experience and really delivered through digital channels. So that's key. The types of technology that power these solutions, are really around MarTech and campaign fulfillment engines. These types of technologies assess and define the cardholder behaviours that we want to see and that we want to achieve, and enable the fulfillment of rewards in a really timely manner. Technology coupled with data solutions creates the ability to understand customer behaviours and needs and predict the relevant reward required to drive the right behaviour and outcome. It also powers the right personalisation and segmentation opportunity to ensure that we can show, our customers that we know them and that we want to reward them in a way that's relevant to them. And so lastly, I'd call out the card linking and real-time messaging. This means the ability to enrol cardholders into a program with certain linked transaction criteria. And based on that linking, we can trigger a reward to be fulfilled, but also communicated in near real time or in real time. So for example, congratulations, Liza, you've just earned 5 extra points shopping at Bunnings. So it's a really simple real-time message outcome, but a customer feels really fulfilled in that experience. And I'd really call out VMA as a great example of that in terms of an end-to-end innovative program. So if you haven't seen that program, I encourage you to take a look. But that was really designed as a digital engagement program, so offering traditional points on debit, which in itself is quite innovative, but offering various personalised and curated, totally brand-aligned offers to power instant gratification, so encompassing those reward points, as I mentioned, card-linked offers, campaigns to boost engagement and reward certain behaviours like mobile wallet usage, and they also have that travel and innovative redemption options. So really, it's the greatest mix of traditional and new ways of achieving loyalty holistically.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great. Thanks, Liza. Now, this next question I'm personally very interested in for all of my clients. Where does Visa stand with solutions for rewards?
Yeah, it's a good question, Zoe. I mean, rewards is quite complex and loyalty is very complex. And so we have a range of solutions, I guess, that support our clients, from campaign technology for trigger-based campaigns and incentives that drive that behavioural change that we spoke about, to always-on merchant marketplaces that incentivise spend, as well as a full suite of earn and burn solutions for traditional programs that can be enhanced by a range of our engagement technologies. So for many loyalty programs, they're built on card linking, and in the market today, we power majority of the card linking programs. So, PokitPal is an example, and VMA, and even Quantum, where we have a merchant focus. And we partner with many other banks and fintechs on how to deliver full or part of their loyalty solutions to benefit not just consumers, but we also focus on merchants so we can deliver solutions to acquirers as well. We balance both sides of the ecosystem, as I mentioned, so there is that opportunity to enhance the solutions for merchants through card linking through merchant marketplaces. And so in summary, Zoe, I think it's no longer one solution that Visa offers. It's multiple solutions. Loyalty is really complex, and so depending on what you're trying to create for your customers and what type of loyalty outcome you are willing to drive, we have the data and the technology platforms to underpin those solutions.
Fantastic. Well, I certainly look forward to being able to offer those solutions to my upcoming clients and programs that I bring on board with Novatti. Thanks, Liza. It's been great to chat with you today. If you do any further questions or you're interested in launching a program or would like to know more about Novatti's payment solutions, please do feel free to reach out to me at zoe.teal@novatti.com, or feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. That wraps up our Novatti's first webinar on the Future of Payments series. I'm very pleased to have been part of showcasing the innovations in the rewards and loyalty sector and seeing its applications for everyday consumers and businesses. A big thank you to Liza from Visa, Gary from PokitPal, and of course Reece from SpendAble. And thanks to you for joining us today. We will be sending out an email with the recording of this webinar and links to some helpful resources. You can also find this recording on our YouTube page. We'll be back with more webinars later in the year, so please do subscribe to our webinar page and stay tuned. Thanks for coming.